Uganda, thank you so much for choosing the national broadcaster. We are live, and of course we're coming to you from Broadcast House on Nile Avenue. My name is Sandra Kahunde. Happy to be here, and of course to start this particular week with you, and start this lovely Monday with you, our dear viewer. So it was a pleasure to spend time with you, and I'm happy to be a woman. Just recently we did celebrate this particular month, we did celebrate women, and you can turn it the way you would like it to be, Women's Day, Women's Week, Women's Month, celebrating everyday woman. And welcome to this special edition for this day where we're celebrating women in ICT. And to put this all into perspective, I'm happy about my panel and I'm just excited. I just love them. They're all women. I'm not saying we're forgetting about the women, the men out there. You make us who we are. The great men out there who support the works of the women, we cannot forget about you. And well, today's special edition, like I said, is going to be centered on celebrating the women in ICT. And I love my panel. They're all great women. And they'll be letting us know, I know there are students out there. And well, today's special edition, like I said, is going to be centered on celebrating the women in ICT. You can imagine just and I love my panel. They're all great women. And they'll be letting us know, I know there are students out there. And well, today's special edition, like I said, is going to be centered on I will take you through my women in ICT. You can imagine just show well to our women and abilities and bless a woman and I was left. She's at the extreme end. And Joanne, you're most welcome to this edition.
Thank you so much.
Good morning.
Good morning.
And just next to Joanne, I'm having Revival Kemijisha, a founder and CEO of Ovore, right pronunciation? Ovore.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll be getting that. Good to have you.
Thank you. Thank you.
And yet again, I'm having another lady, Natasha, co-founder and team leader, Wapi.
Yes.
You're most welcome.
Thank you so much for having me.
And another beautiful lady right here, Patience Ankonda, that's the right pronunciation, co-founder, Kulipa and lecturer of computer science, UCU.
Thank you so much for having me.
Aren't we happy to be women on the panel?
Definitely.
You can expect the best, whoever is watching us right this day. We're going to put into different things into perspective, especially when you look at ICT, how Uganda stands as far as ICT is concerned in that regard, and how the young people out there can tap into this particular sector. We're celebrating women out there, and of course not forgetting the theme right on there, the theme that we did have, equal opportunities. All that and much more in this particular conversation. I'll start with the ladies. Why choose ICT? Who's ready to go for that? You know, I would think of us starting up businesses, having boutiques, you know, getting to easy stuff, you know, they don't expect women to get into. Someone thinks of ICT, they're like, are you going to be pulling cables? The engineer out there, Joanne, tell us about your field.
Okay, first of all, I'm a network engineer at Traxio Data Center. And here we provide data center solutions and data storage solutions to our clients, those who need storage for their IT equipment and also those who need a backup site. Now, I am responsible for monitoring thousands of applications at the data center to make sure that the data center is working, its operation. Now, what inspired me to start up in IT was actually a love for math. I love math. And for me, I think that's what made it a bit easier. And I also wanted to break that stereotype because I remember in school, everyone used to think, oh, women, girls don't do science as well. And I was like, that gave me a challenge. I was like, no, that's not it. I wanted to show that, you know, actually us women, we can actually get there and do it. So that's what first inspired me to go into the IT field. And I went ahead and I did a bachelor's of computer science in UCU. And yeah. So then I went ahead and began to look for jobs, and that's why I'm here right now. Yeah.
Wow.
Yes.
Quite a good story. Just getting to know what you do at Ovure, and of course why you joined ICT, for a lady out there who wants to tap into what you're enjoying at the moment.
Yeah. So I'm Revival Kemijisha, and I'm the founder and CEO of Ovure. Ovure is an events management firm, so we do corporate events, we do event styling and stuff like that, and we have different subsidiaries under that. So one of the subsidiaries is Sinapi, and it's really a tech site that features like event service providers. So maybe what inspired me to do ICT is I'm a born scientist, I must say. I've always done math and physics ahead of everything else. So for me, it was really natural. I was actually poor with the arts. So I wanted to do petroleum engineering. but I was slightly below the point, the cut-off mark. So there was this whole family thing of ICT is trending. It's good because there were some people in the family, that had done it
thing at that particular time.
Exactly, and they had good jobs. So my parents are like, do this thing, it's good. So I didn't have a lot really to contribute to that, So I did it, but since then it's been great. I've applied it in a lot of my work, what we do, and even doing this site now, it's because I have that background and I'm thinking, how can we involve tech in this whole event space? Yes.
So you deal with the figures.
Yes.
I'm imagining.
Yeah.
You're dealing with math and you wanted to do petroleum. Amazing.
Yeah.
Let's move on to Natasha, getting to know more about you and why this path of ICT and what exactly you do at the organization.
Yeah, thanks Sandra for having me. My name is Natasha. I'm a co-founder at WAPI. WAPI is a technology company building technology solutions for HR. We're currently running Africa's digital talent marketplace where we help global companies and employers hire tech and creative talent from Africa in less than 7 days. So think of hiring software engineers, digital designers made easier, but within 7 days and in a technology-enabled way. How I got into ICT, just like my colleagues here, I've always been a math and physics person, right from O-level and then A-level. And I started out with a desire to do civil engineering, but then I got some career guidance, and because of the trends at the time, it wasn't really the best thing for me to do. So I went into statistics because my love for mathematics and the ability was more than anything else. So I started out into statistics, but then along the way, I got a merit scholarship because of how I had performed in high school, and that merit scholarship required me to transit in universities. So when I went to the other universities, it was better in ICT than it was in the course that I had started out, and it was also my second option. So honestly, I can't say that it is something that I had opted to do initially, but I think God was guiding my path because of what was coming in the future. So I get into it. I remember I was the only girl in my class. I was doing computer science.
Were you
in a
skinny
girl
at the time?
of like 20 guys.
Wow.
Yeah, so it was a challenging journey, but it was great. I really loved it. And then a few months down the road, I sit down with Collins, a founder at WAPI. He tells me, because we were lucky to get into the employment sector quite early as our senior 6 vacation. We were working before we got into high school, which is usually not the status quo for Uganda and Africa. You either have to know someone who knows another person for you to get work, or you have to have 6 years of experience before you can find work. So he tells me, he's like, of course, very many people that we went to school with kept on reaching out to us. Hey, can you please help me find work? I am unemployed right now. What can I do? But we could only do as much because the company where we were also just employed. So he's like, how about you created a platform where these people can showcase their skills and be able to use those skills to add value to other companies just like we are, or other employers. We had that discussion back and forth, but we never really materialized it because that time we were chasing both school and work. So eventually during the lockdown, we sit down, materialize it, register the company, made a few mistakes, went back to the drawing board, and that's how I realized that all the things that I was learning, I was just being prepared for such a time as that. So yeah, that's how my journey has been like.
Amazing. When you look back, you're at the right place. No regrets at all?
Yeah,
being
no
in a
regrets
class of 20 guys?
Exactly. I think ICT is the only way that you can build a company that can be able to scale globally. It's harder when the company is not leveraged on technology.
Season in and season out.
Exactly.
It still keeps trending.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Patience. Moving to Patience right here. How has your journey been like, you embracing ICT and of course you being the co-founder of Kulipa?
So mine, I started out with architecture. I always wanted to be an architect right from when I was young. And up until I was at high school, while at Gayaza High School, were introduced to a program that needed girls aged 8 to 18 to create mobile solutions to solve problems within their communities. So I was there and wondering, so now these people want us who are in high school to create a mobile application. I thought that you needed to have, I thought that you needed to have studied computer science or software engineering and work. Exactly. So it was really intriguing for me. So together with the team, we come up with a solution that was sharing information to farmers within our community, because Gayaza had us plant banana plantations and look after our banana plants, so we wanted to share that information as S-Files. But that whole process really opened my eyes to the possibility and the opportunities that technology does create. So moving on to university, fortunately or unfortunately, I'd gotten architecture and government, so I decided, you know what, let me pursue this for the sake of the girl who had always wanted to be an architect, and see how things go. Maybe eventually I'll get into tech or merge something tech related with architecture and, you know, just trail from there. But then somewhere along the way, as I was heading to my third year, I decided, you know what, I think my passions are laying elsewhere, and that was in technology, because I had gotten to experience its fullness in allowing me to, first of all, create solutions to people's problems within my own community. So I wanted to get more knowledge in that department, and so I decided to switch. So in switching, I also had to switch university. I had to move from Makerere to UCU because
after having a journey of 2 years.
Yeah, after a journey of 2 years. I know people look back and they're like, but really, all those 2 years, don't you feel like you wasted them? And the answer is no, I didn't, because even just studying architecture, I did learn a couple of things that have pushed me through in my career. So I get into computer science at Uganda Christian University. I excel. I'm retained as a lecturer to assist in teaching here and there. But then, because I'm an entrepreneur, I like to solve problems for my communities and also my own problems. I decided to get into the startup space. So Kulipa came about because the founder himself is into the fintech space, and the fact that I had a small business that I was running and facing some financial payment service problems, we decided to come together to create these solutions for businesses and enabling them to accept money from different avenues such that they can grow their businesses. So at Kulipa, we are basically creating different digital payment solutions for both formal and informal businesses, such that they can accept digital payments. And so we are putting ourselves at the forefront of increasing financial inclusion for even those who are underserved. You do not need a smartphone to access our services. Even just with your feature phone, you can access our services. But the question is, why technology? And I point this question to you, why not technology? Because the way the world is revolving and where it is going, there's no way you can run away from technology.
Yeah, because the viewer out there could be thinking to themselves, why are they speaking about women in ICT?
Yeah.
Maybe just putting into perspective for them to get to understand. When you talk about the women in ICT, women, you know, celebrating women in ICT, in what context, what are you really looking at for them to understand?
So first of all, the reason why we need to celebrate women in ICT is because, and I feel that by celebrating the women who are actually there, it will sort of inspire those who are coming up to continue that journey into the ICT sector. So it's very important to celebrate us, give us these platforms where we can come and share, because you never know who's watching, you never know who is listening, you never know who you're inspiring. And there is a need to close that gap in inequality, the gender equality of the tech sector. And so that's why it's very important to celebrate those who are actually there, so that we can encourage those.
Wow, good observation, Patience. Okay.
Yes.
You want to add on?
Yes,
like the role of the women, especially in bringing this to daily life, to the young people out there who would want to tap into ICT.
Yes.
What kind of role are we playing as the women? You already being into this space.
So just before I get into that, just to add on to what she was saying, I was seeing research done by Digitech recently, and they got 24 female-led companies that have raised funding up to 3 million US, 24 are tech. So it's fashion tech, edutech, fintech, like some sort of tech, and that shows you where we are going. as you know, as a world. Yes.
Oh my God, I'm thinking, should I also switch? Should I also switch and do something? Joanne, would you like to expound on it? The role that we're supposed to play as women enjoying this space?
Yeah, like my colleague has said, technology right now is evolving and it's moving forward, and it's the future of where we are heading to. So we have to, we as women, pull our other women forward, because already we've realized that women are not well represented in the science fields. So because the rest of the world is moving towards this digital state, we have to pull those women that were behind, that were left behind because of maybe, say, fear of sciences, you know, fear of anything else. We have to try and push ourselves to move them forward, like provide mentorship. I'm actually one of the people, I work with Zimba Women, and this is it's an NGO that provides women with skills, and we go back to high schools and universities, and we try to talk to these women, these girls, because for example, we went to a high school and we realized actually even in the science classes, girls were still really few. So it was up to me to come and give them a talk that, by the way, it's possible. Anything that you've had, it's not going to happen to you. You can actually come and do it. So I believe that that's the role that we who are already here have to play in order to like encourage our fellow women to be there. Yeah, we have to provide mentorship and coaching.
Okay.
Yes.
Or maybe just get to know, how is it like for you when you're in the field? Of course, you're meeting those giants, the great men out there. How is it like for you in the field?
Oh my God. So I remember when I was starting up, I was working as a web programmer, and I was representing one of my colleagues. One of my colleagues, a male, fell sick. So I was taken in to speak to a client about the project they were working on. And when I reached the room, they introduced me. They were like, "Oh, this is Joanne. She's the web programmer." And everyone's face was like, "Huh?
We're having a lady?"
We're having a lady. And oh my God, the rest of the conversation, you could see they were biased. Like I would have to tell them, okay, you know this, and everyone's looking at you like, does she really know what she's talking about?
I know. She must be thinking of lipstick and jewelry.
Exactly. People look at her and they're like, can she? Can she? And so I spent the rest of the time like trying to prove myself. And that's the thing that I've noticed as we women in tech, is that sometimes your credentials come into question, but that shouldn't make you give up. Like, I've had moments where you have to be aggressive about it. You know, you have to stand, because I know sometimes women tend to feel like we are small, we are, you know, we are soft. But you have to push. If you know you want something, you have to be aggressive about it, because that's what I face most times. I enter a room and you have to work on the network.
It's the guys who love the gadgets.
It's the guys who love gadgets.
You can't manage them.
Or you can't be like fixing cables somewhere. How you're maybe supposed to be wearing heels.
You have peep toes and and you're
nails.
Fixing cables.
But we can do it too. We can do it too. And I believe in it. And I hope other younger ladies can see that we are doing it.
Yeah. Okay, let's share with the viewers. Natasha wants to add something?
I think it happens because for the longest time, and based on our history, the technology industry was for so long dominated by the men. So automatically and naturally, that creates a bias. It creates self-pity among us, the women themselves. It creates a society bias where if you're a woman, you're going to do technology, everyone is like, why? So what I would like to say is, yes, it has been like that for the longest time, but now it's our time to change it. And for me, it actually makes me very, very happy that the theme for International Women's Day this year was innovation and technology for gender equality. That simply means that this is our time, and it's time for us as women to take up spaces. The world's population, more than 50% of the world's population is women. So how is the world going to develop if the technology that is being used to develop the world, the women are not part of it, and yet we are the bigger population?
We're supposed to be having more representatives,
exactly.
more women in the Ministry of ICT.
Yeah, it doesn't
take the guys out.
Yeah. So this is our time.
Let's share some of the innovations, the best innovations that can make the women innovate, the best innovations that women can innovate. You talked about way back at school, when you were challenged and wanted to put out the farming skills for everyone to get to know how good it was.
I think in terms of innovations, it's important for you to recognize the different problems that are within your community and then decide to innovate and incorporate technology in that particular solution. So there is depending on whatever you discover, like for us, in my situation with Kulipa, the fact that I was finding it very challenging to receive payments from maybe people who wanted to pay with Visa or people who wanted to pay me with Airtel, and yet I'm an MTN user, I decided to innovate around that and see how I can still receive my money on MTN but allow my customers to pay with strong suits with that competition, which can run in schools. So if you have a show, it's called Technovation Girls. It really empowers girls to start thinking about solving problems within their communities. Yeah.
Any more ideas? Natasha, John would like to add a point.
Yes, so about the innovations we can make, I think what we noticed while we were working with some ladies under Zimbabwe women, we realized they did not have a marketplace, a place where they can sell their goods and products. So what we decided was to launch a site which was just for females only. It's not so females can come and sell like their products, because we realized okay, we have these women out there, maybe she's a tailor, maybe she sells her market goods, but she doesn't know where she can tap into the market to find. So that was an example of kind of like an innovation that we thought about, just in a way to really push the women, because we realized maybe they don't even get, our society still views women as the main caretakers. And that means that most times we are left behind in terms of like going for network events. We don't get to interact with one another to talk about our businesses and find out, okay, maybe this person, I can sell to them this product. It's not easy. So we realized that we needed to have women have a space where they can access this network of potential business partners online. So we came up with an e-commerce site which does that. And we also train women on making use of social media. Because currently we have social media is actually a big tool, and we see that so many companies these days have social media sites. I don't think there's a company really at this age which does not have a social media site. So because of that, actually that just shows us the great potential that on social media. I followed this company. I was interested in. I was like, oh, this company, they're doing something I'm interested in. Let me start engaging with them. I would text. Next thing, I got an interview with the boss, because I spoke to him. I told him, these are my skills. I'm really passionate about this. I would like to join your company. And it helped me get into the company and get a job. So social media used right can be a way we women can also support each other in businesses in the right way, because I know there's a lot of entertainment on there, and most people use it for that, like the destructive side. But, because we realize women in businesses, we lack access to market. So
well, great submission there for the young women, because there are so many women in the market, How is the reception like, the entrepreneurs out there? Or maybe just getting to know from Natasha, do you have such a window or space at WAPI?
I think women, we all know that women are very entrepreneurial, especially here in Uganda. But also because of that self-pity that I was talking about earlier, that has caused a certain challenge. But like I shared, this is our time. We are woke. The women that have the platform are using it. So women are taking up spaces. Speaking from the digital and technology hiring and placement space that we are in, still the men are still more than the women. But we are doing all that we can to collaborate with institutions that are doing, digital upskilling programs for women, to make them aware that the opportunities are here, the future is tech, and this is the only way you're going to, have access to meaningful earning opportunities. Speaking to the kinds of innovation for WAPI, we realized that now after the pandemic, because of this whole digital era that we are getting into, there are currently so many institutions that are training young people in technology programming, but there are very few solutions for what happens after these people have gotten these skills. And that is where WAPI came in to be that solution that leverages on those skills that they have gained to then help them get access to meaningful earning opportunities in and outside of Africa. Yeah.
Wow, great stuff. Just getting back to our country, the longest time, like you put it earlier on, women not being embraced. When they think about a woman doing sciences, it's another story. And the experience that Joan did share with us, they all looked at you and they're like, it's a woman taking us through this? You know, how do we stand as a country when it comes to ICT? I know we already have a lady at the Ministry of ICT, but we need to have more of those positions to reach out to many women across, like you talked about, even the entrepreneurs out there in the rural setup. To you guys who are already in the field, where do we stand as a country when it comes to women embracing ICT? Have you gotten support from government when it comes to the innovations that you already have in place?
Personally, I would say that where we were 10 years ago is not where we are today, right? So there's been innovations, there's been upskilling initiatives by government, there's been facilities set up for entrepreneurs, for example, ICT, Nakawa. There's been, even by the private sector, MTN, you know, Code Academy, teaching young girls how to code. There's been very many initiatives, but I would still say that there's a lot of work that needs to be done. For example, in Uganda, we only have 18% of households, you know, being connected to electricity, which also speaks to the internet. So how then would people access, you know, the information, the data they need to then be able to innovate and therefore empower women to get into this space? So I would think that there's a lot of sensitization that needs to be done. There's a lot of diversity that needs to be done by the government in terms of acceptance of innovations. I think for people here who are not in agri-tech, you know that it's not very easy for us to access support. Usually agri-tech is like, agriculture and agri-tech is like the #1 priority. And these other ones, we have to do a lot of work for us to be understood and actually show the relevance.
To really prove yourself.
Of what we are trying to do, and that it's an actual solution for an actual problem that's happening. So I think the government and the support programs that have been, you know, streamlined for startups need to be more open and understand that there are actually more avenues through which we can create, you know, a better future and create more innovations to develop this country.
So in other words, we need more opportunities.
Yes.
And a more conducive environment.
Exactly, yeah.
For us to take ground. Revival, would you like to add something?
To just add on what Natasha has said, yes, government is trying their best, but I feel like they need to calm down. You know, recently with the PSFU Katale, Women's Day Katale, and I was very impressed. We were exhibiting as well. I mean, they created a whole, I think that's the best expo I've seen in this country, you know. And as we were having further discussions with, you know, Miss Sarah Kajingo and, you know, some people in PSFU, they said they had actually given that department to a young person, and she executed it very well. So I'm thinking government needs to look for younger people like us to sit in some of those positions. Not maybe to make like the final policies and stuff, but like to advise them, to tell them that this is what's actually on ground. This is what the young ladies need. This is how we can empower them. Because they have the money and we have the brains. So if they work with us, then we can make this country better.
It's beyond the nails you see and the lipstick and everything. There's more to it. It's no longer the beauty, it's beauty with
the brain.
The brains as well. Would you like to add a voice to it?
Yes, I think government can do more on encouraging organizations to push for gender equality, especially in leadership positions. I believe there's some sort of gender bias that is still lingering around in such organizations, where when it comes to hiring, giving out benefits, it's biased in such a way that, okay, now you're a woman, you may get pregnant, and then, you know, what are we supposed to do for you? Are we supposed to pay you maternity leave and stuff like that? So because of that, we are seeing few women in leadership positions. I think government can push for more gender equality in leadership positions, because then it's what inspires us. If I see a woman in an organization and she's doing well and inspiring us, I would also be inspired to, you know, push. I know that, hey, if she can do it, yes, if she can do it, I can do it too. I can also do it as well. But then we also have these social barriers in terms of how women view technology. We see it as a field for men. And also our families may discourage us from pursuing any STEM-related courses because this is for men. So in a bid to, you know, go with what your family is saying, you may decide, you know what, let me stick to social sciences,
I leave it for my
business.
brother to do.
My brother will do that. So there is work that needs to be done in pushing for that. And even while we have women getting into the space, there still lacks digital literacy. We still don't understand how to use basic components of ICT, and there needs to be more initiatives that push for learning more in that digital space. So yeah.
Yeah, like you say, back at home, you know, they would think it's for the men. The boys, you leave your brother to do so. And maybe something else, the men as well, they keep hiding their gadgets. So you have no space maybe to learn something at the basics that you talked about.
Yeah, just to add a recommendation to what she said in regards to government encouraging companies to be more accommodative of women. The UN Code Impact recently launched the women empowerment principles, and they've been trying to, you know, encourage companies, institutions to endorse these principles that will then guide them to be more accommodative of women. So I think maybe government should, you know, look into that, partner with that, I don't know, do some sensitization programs for you know, companies, because this will then help women to feel more involved, to be empowered, to take up these spaces and probably innovate more in the technology space.
Okay, we're still talking about the barriers or the challenges. At the end of the day, we need more support from government. Don't you feel like this will affect us? Because recently I did share with some guy, and then it's like, okay, even if she had that great office, she's into the tech world, and you know, her check sustains us at home, and she enters past midnight, I can't take it. You know, she has to choose between her work and maybe the marriage or the home and everything like that. Such barriers, and they are hindrance. How are we going to address them?
I feel like we need to improve ourselves as humans, because yeah, honestly, because if I'm working and you can literally see what I'm doing, then I feel like you should be more accommodative of what I'm doing. I'm not from the bar or whatever, but everything is clear, we're communicating. So I feel like we need to improve our thinking and just like get better as the world evolves. Let us so evolve, because I remember like I've had stories like past, women were not allowed to eat chicken. So we need to improve ourselves.
But some other people were still into those traditions.
Yes.
Like try and put it earlier on, like having good social media habits, you know? Yeah, there are other bad ones that will take us off the customs, the norms and the culture and the traditions. You know, how we're supposed to embrace and, you know, keep in the lane as women.
Maybe I can add on the point of the men. I think we just need to actively sensitize the men as well. You see, because they have to know that even home care alone, because that's where it starts from. The reason why women sometimes get left behind is it starts from home care. So you're expected to be the one at home to take care of the kids. So I think it starts from that, trying to change the mindset of the men and telling them, you know, this is a home. If you're both going to have jobs, then both of you have to support at home. So that's how it starts. So that's how we start in shifting that social barriers, that social mentality. We have to act actively. And maybe we also need to maybe feature men who actually are doing it, who have women in high positions. And maybe they share with other men how they're handling it. Yeah, maybe it will help to remove that mystery of like, how can I have a lady when she's in tech and maybe she's earning more than I am? Maybe it will help remove that mystery. And yeah, so yeah.
Are there any role models you can look up to, like say in society, or maybe those who inspired you, or maybe at the moment, the ones you can really cite out, the role models when it comes to women in ICT? Any you could think of?
I would like to point out a husband to an entrepreneur that I know, who I think, according to what I see, I feel like he's really, really supportive. Mr. Mlondo Brand. His wife is an entrepreneur. She's the founder of Credo, the Credo. Yes, and I feel like Mr. Mlondo is a really supportive, because his woman, is such a go-getter, she's an entrepreneur, and he keeps saying that I will never oppress her, because imagine one time, God forbid, something happens to him, who will be able to uphold this family, right? And so all the support that he gives her comes from, that background of I'm supporting her because at one point, if anything, she'll be the one, in my position. So I think that men who are not supporting their women should pick a leaf from that, and maybe he can also encourage other men to do the same. Yeah.
Well, we have women in higher places, like when it comes to the leadership of this nation, and I'm sure you can cite out a few of them. How are they supposed to embrace this? We need their support when it comes to ICT. What is that support that you would wish for them to do for us?
I would encourage them to involve the ladies who are also trying to climb the ladder in ICT, and such that we can all come together and push for more women representation. I feel like sometimes when we get into those positions of power, we then neglect.
You forget where you've come from.
And so I think they could do more in encouraging and also pushing for more representation of women in the sector. So we're here. You can reach out to us. Reach out to UBC, get to us. And
so here and so young, so vibrant.
Yeah, there are so many initiatives that have been put forward, such as the Women Tech Makers. We have Python Kampala Ladies. They're actually small communities of women who are trying to push for this. But we would go further if we had the involvement of those who are in power to help push these communities.
Yes. Me, I'd like to speak against the self-pity again.
The self-pity that women have.
Social bias. Yes. Because I am in the hiring and placement space for digital skills, and honestly, people like to hire women because women are implementers. Women like to see things done. But the problem is you have the implementation attitude, but you do not have the skills. And the reason you don't have the skills is because you think those skills are for men. But we're in the 21st century, right? If you are with someone who does not support you to do what you're passionate about, then do it by yourself, right? There's so many resources on the internet that are free to access. Get onto them, learn as much as you can. There are other women here that are doing what you want to do. Surround yourselves with them. Take up those spaces. Volunteer where you have to so that you learn as much as you can. And the opportunities are there. And along the way, you will find, people that are willing to support you even at home, like she was saying. Yeah.
Now let's just speak to the girl child out there, the university student, you are UCU, you are a lecturer yourself. Speaking to that particular lady out there who, maybe someone who's watching and they're really inspired, they want to be like Joanne, they want to be like Natasha, just speak to them, how they can tap into this whole sector.
So for the girl who's already in ICT or is at university studying something in ICT, first of all, I want to commend you for choosing that path. There are very many opportunities for us women in this sector to grow and be the leaders in this particular sector. And there are so many opportunities, like you can become a software programmer, you can get into cybersecurity, data analytics. There are few women represented there, and there is an opportunity for you to then be a leader in that path. However, I want us to appreciate the fact that the female representation is really low, and that may discourage you. Yes, but you can counteract those adversities by first of all building your network, socialize with women who are in technology already, get inspired to stay in the field. Secondly, I would encourage you to grow your skills. Just because you've graduated, that's not where it stops. Learning doesn't stop there. You need to put yourself out there, learn your skills such that you can be competitive with the men who are always, going for what they want. We need to build our skills. And then also encourage more girls to join in the fight. Actually, join the fight to increase the representation. We need more women representing and putting themselves out there. Just like we're putting ourselves out there, we're hoping to encourage you. Also put yourself out there, share your story, use your platform to increase this representation.
Wow, amazing.
I'd like to just add on to the sharing the story. I love. Actually, one of my role models, she's called Hilda Kapshenga. She's the CEO of Talent Company Africa. she has really gone up in the ladders in regards to, you know, digital placements, but also ICT. But she has not only done that, she has also created a platform where she actually influences for career development for women. So she encourages women and tells them, you know, how to treat people at work, how to learn more so that, you know, you go up the ladder like she has, how to keep relevant in this digital era and all those things. So I would encourage people to actually use the internet wisely, like she had shared, because again, there are so many resources on the internet. And once you get there, please share your stories. There's so many other people that need to be, you know, handheld and given the push. And sometimes people just don't know that these things are happening because of the social constructs within which they have been brought up. And when you're brought up in such social constructs, then that's all you know. You don't know better, right? But if you can access such data, then you know that these things are happening and you could join the league. So, yeah.
Well, that's good advice.
I feel like networking should not be undermined because there's that saying that your net worth, your network is your net worth. So there are all these bodies that are supporting. For example, the French embassy has something with STEM, you know, women in STEM, and so many other bodies. So I feel like as a young girl, don't sit on yourself and, you know, throw a pity party and be the guest of honor. No, go out, you know, like search for opportunities. We are always on the internet. We talk to people, we show up. Sometimes we show up in spaces we are not invited, I'll be very honest. But because we see there's an opportunity there, if I met someone I need.
By.
Yes. So as a girl, yes, as a girl, just have an open mind, you know, like a paradigm shift, like change your mindset and, you know, like be all out, because opportunities also come to those who are prepared. So that's what I think I can tell the young girl out there.
To forget that certain things are not only for it's a guy thing, you know? We're supposed to also enjoy and be part of it. Joan, we'd love to share a message before we let the viewer go and enjoy their day.
Okay. So first of all, like all my colleagues have shared, is to be aggressive. That is the major thing. You have to be aggressive. It's not going to be easy. It may not be easy. Like I shared my story, it wasn't easy. I was often underlooked and sometimes they skip you over, but you have to always present yourself, which means you have to always go back and study. And like Natasha shared, the internet is a source of everything for information. And what's good about today is that you can learn anything on the internet. You can sit down and teach yourself something, and that is going to make a difference. You can go and tell someone, even if they're undermining you as a female, but if you know your things, then they can't say anything, because there's undermining and it turns out you actually don't know what you're talking about. But if you actually went back and read and did your research and studied these things, then they're not going to be able to undermine you. And of course, like, please use social media for good. There are jobs on there. There are companies which actually offer jobs on social media, LinkedIn especially. So just try to put yourself out there in a good way. Mind your posts, mind the content you put out there, because as a woman, you're going to be judged on social media for so many other things. Appearance, what are you saying? Yes. So you have to make sure that even the content you put out there is right, because sometimes companies hunt for their future employees online. I know a lady who got a job because someone just texted her in that inbox and they're like, we've looked at your profile and we think this job, you can do this job, you can be part of our company. So such things, which means that your content online has got to be, you know, presentable, because so that's what I'm trying to say. Like, be aggressive, put yourself out there, read, research, and don't give up. Even if sometimes during university you might find maybe this course is hard or this course unit is hard, don't give up. Just pray to God, keep going. You will do it. You can do it.
Well, time is against us, but I'm sure we have not exhausted. We need more time to share we need more partying. More partying with our discussion. Amazing. It's been a pleasure spending time with you, and I believe the viewer out there also had a wonderful time starting off a great day and a great week, listening to such brains. Wow. Joan, thank you so much for your time. Joan at the extreme end, Nantambi Mwevesta, Network Operations Center Engineer. It's been a pleasure spending time with you. And Revival Kemjisha, founder and CEO, Uvure. Thank you for your time. Wow. I need to get into the tech world. Don't be able to pronounce such things. And Natasha, thank you so much for your time, co-founder and team leader, WAPI. She's right there. Thank you so much for your time. And also next to me, Patience Ankunda, co-founder, Kulipa, and lecturer of computer science. Don't you get intimidated when you walk into the class, the lecture? You know how those guys can be like, they will watch you from head to toe.
No, I'm actually excited to share information with them, so not really. Yeah. And also because we have few female teachers in that department, so I'm putting myself forward so I can inspire the ladies in the class to also.
Yes, the women can do sciences, the women can do maths and deal with figures. Wow. Wish you all the best.
Thank you.
Hope to see you soon. Well, my dear viewer, thank you so much for spending time with us and choosing the national broadcaster. We're coming to you live from Broadcast House, Nile Avenue. That's all we had time for you, as we did celebrate women in ICT this particular Monday. More will come your way. Keep watching the national broadcaster. My name is Sandra Kahunde. Have a lovely Monday.